I first discovered asiamaxxing when I was about 16 years old. I remember I was on YouTube and there was a recommended video in my feed, and it was like 10 reasons why an American man should marry a Vietnamese, 10 reasons why you should have a Vietnamese wife, something like that. And it was an American guy like saying, "Oh, she'll cook and clean for you, she's feminine, she's whatever." And that was the first video I watched on Asia Maxing pretty much. And for some reason, that video seriously sparked an interest in me in going to Asia. That was the first time it like really created that passion inside of me. So I was then researching it further and everything, and around this time I also found the red pill as well. I think it was Richard Cooper who was like the first red pill YouTuber I watched. But yeah, it was around 16 where I started getting obsessed with Asia Maxing, getting obsessed with the red pill, almost having a dislike for Western women, honestly. And then I was coming across like digital nomad stuff. Like people were going to Asia by working online. They had remote work and stuff like that. So a couple of years later, I was going to college for like IT because I was thinking if I worked in IT, then I could then work remotely and I could get a remote job and then go to Asia. But I really was hating college so much. So what happened was I was about 19. I think this was during COVID, and then I pretty much left college. I didn't want to study anymore. So then I had a friend who went to the Philippines. He was actually from my home country. I actually did a podcast with him. If you check my podcast, he's the older guy, a guy in his 50s. And then he lived in the Philippines for like 10 years or something. And I asked him, I said, how can I make money online so I can also go to the Philippines? And he was saying he asked me, do I have any digital skills, like any online skills? And I was saying, yeah, I've been doing video editing for like 5 years. I did it for fun. And then he was saying, oh, you can make money from doing that by getting clients. So on the first day he told me about that, I started outreaching, going on YouTube, asking people, hey, are you looking for a video editor? And the first day I got a client, a guy called Zois. Now he was basically trying to copy Ziz. He was like an aesthetic YouTuber fitness guy, and he was famous for doing like illegal live streams where he would just take off his shirt and everything, almost similar to Connor Murphy but on Amigo. And then about 2 weeks later, I found a guy called Jacked and Stacked. He was the Black Pill YouTuber, so I was editing for him. I was making a lot of money from him, maybe £1,000 a month I was getting just from him. And then his friend, Austin Dunham, I'm sure you guys have heard of him. He's like quite a famous dating red pill coach and stuff. And then I edited his course, his Digital Romeo dating course. And he paid me like £3,000 to edit that course. And it only took me a few days to do it. And that month is I made the most money. I made £3,000 within that month. Um, So yeah, my goal was to go Philippines. I wanted to have £10,000 saved up before I went. Um, so then I went to the Philippines. Um, I was dating this girl from a dating app called OkCupid. I was talking to her online while I was in England for like 7 or 9 months. And she was my first ever girlfriend, the first time I fell in love and everything. So I was kind of like a blue pilled simp. Like I was actually like fully in love, like absolute simp and everything. So then I went to the Philippines. This was, I think, August 2022. So I was 19 or 20. I think I just turned 20 actually. Like, yeah. Um, yeah, so I was in the Philippines for like 2 months, but I've always had a fear of like food poisoning, and I didn't trust the food safety there. Like there was like weevils, they're like insects. Like there was these weevils in the rice. I saw like cockroaches on the food, and this was at like a super high-end supermarket as well. um, I saw the employees, they were literally touching raw chicken and then touching like raw fish right afterwards. So they're like cross contamination and everything. So I was really scared to like eat there. I only ate tuna, eggs, and rice and like kidney beans because like those are quite low risk food. So I was really losing weight a lot and I genuinely couldn't keep up with it. So after 2 months, I was like ill a lot. I had a fever. At one point my eye, there was like blood, like not bleeding, but there was like blood on my eye for some reason. So it's just crazy stuff like that. I had a fever all the time. I was losing weight, so I decided I can't do this. So I went back to England. But then I also went to the Philippines 2 more times just on holiday, just to meet my girlfriend, because I was also trying to escape like a very chaotic and abusive household. So I was willing to do anything just to leave. So I spent all of my savings keep going to the Philippines to meet my girlfriend, pretty much. So then after that, I decided, right, I don't really want to go to like Southeast Asia because I just don't trust the food safety. However, I highly recommend you guys go to Southeast Asia because if you don't have like OCD like me, you like I'm sure the food isn't too bad. I'm sure you'll be fine. It's just I've got very severe OCD, so for me it's quite important. So for me, I want to stick to East Asia because the food safety is better. But for you, I recommend Southeast Asia. Your SMV is a lot higher. The quality of your life is way, way, way higher as well. Um, what was I gonna say? It's way, way cheaper. So yeah, I highly recommend Southeast Asia. But then I was like working a ton of jobs I hated. I've always had like panic attacks as well. I've had panic attacks since I was 15. So it was really difficult for me to work jobs with panic attacks, issues with eating, issues with anxiety, issues with depression. It was really, really difficult for me. And my entire life, since I was 16, I've always had the strong desire to Asia Max and to live in Asia. Those thoughts have never left my mind. So I was working jobs I absolutely hated and everything. And then eventually I moved with my brother because like he knew that the abuse was getting like really, really bad. So I lived with him. He let me live with him, but I had to pay him rent and everything. I'm just walking across. Yeah, so then I was working a job at his company. I was working as a IT admin, and I was there for 6 months. Absolutely hated it, and I had to quit. I had no choice. I reached the breaking point. I had to quit after 6 months. And then my brother was saying like, "Oh Ben, you're going to be homeless because like you can't afford rent anymore." So I'm like, "Well, I've got like £2,000 in savings. That's enough for 3 months. I'm gonna start video editing again." So what happened was I quit my job, started video editing again, and I worked really, really hard. And after I think it was 2 months, I got a client and he gave me a £1,000 per month monthly retainer. And I got another client as well, and he was giving me about £250 a month. So then I was like, okay, I'm ready. Let's go to South Korea. Not Southeast Asia, but East Asia this time. Let's go to South Korea. So what happened was I booked the cheapest Airbnb possible, £200 a month. It was awful, but I'll tell you later. And then I bought the cheapest flight possible, and also it was in summer as well. So what happened? I booked all of it. I left for South Korea. My laptop, I bought the cheapest laptop possible, and it couldn't even run with video editing. So what happened was, I because I knew I was going to be homeless, because I didn't, um, I guess like I had money from the video editing, but yeah, I could have probably paid rent and had money from the video editing, but anyway, I went to South Korea with like literally no savings, a laptop that doesn't even work. It was summer, so it was incredibly hot. And the Airbnb was the cheapest one. It had no windows, it had no air conditioning. And then as soon as I arrived in South Korea, I was exhausted, haven't eaten, haven't slept. I'm dehydrated, I'm exhausted. And as soon as I found my Airbnb and it had no windows, no air conditioning, I couldn't cool down. So I was overheated and I couldn't cool down. And I was literally like having a panic attack. So I instantly booked a hotel, like a 4-star hotel, because I knew it would have air conditioning. Also, I was stupid as well. My phone ran out of charge and I didn't bring a multi-socket adapter. So I couldn't even charge my phone. So I was at 10% battery and I had to literally um, book the hotel as quick as possible. I remember I was on call with my brother and I was panicking and he literally called the police. There was like 5 Korean policemen knocking on my Airbnb door and everything. And yeah, it was quite scary. Because I was also watching like a lot of police activity videos, like people who get shot by the police. So I was a little bit nervous as well. Like I had my hands in my pockets and I instantly took my hands out of my pockets because I was like, oh, you shouldn't do that because the police think you might have a weapon and everything. So yeah, that was quite scary. But so I booked a nice hotel and that was the right decision because then I was able to fall asleep for like 30 minutes. I was able to cool down. I was able to shower. And I booked the flight back home the next day because I knew it wouldn't work. I didn't have the savings. I couldn't afford a better Airbnb. Um, it wouldn't have worked. I couldn't edit with the laptop because it wasn't good enough. So I went back to England, and what happened was I went homeless. My brother kicked me out, and I was homeless. But also, the day I was homeless, which was the 31st of October 2025, I lost both of my clients the same day. 1 hour before my brother kicked me out, both of my clients said, Ben, let's stop. Like, let's stop the editing. Lost both of my clients, went homeless, all within the same hour. And I was very fortunate. I had a girlfriend at the time and she was very loving. And so I lived with her. On my YouTube channel, there's a video that said homeless video 2025. That was her room in her shared house. So I was homeless living with my girlfriend. I had to be really quiet. I was like peeing in bottles because I couldn't go to the bathroom because I can't get caught. I would only go to the bathroom when my girlfriend would come home from work and then we'll both go together. Like we'll both shower together, we'll both go to the toilet together. Like if we're like pooing, we'll literally go together. Um that was hell. I wasn't eating much at all or anything. But then after homelessness, I found a place to rent and everything got sorted out eventually. And then, after no longer being in that survival state, by the way, homelessness was the best thing that ever happened to me. Everything that happened to me was the best thing that happened to me because it unlocked a new level, and this new level is what pushed me onto like a greater path. For example, I was living with like abusive family and I couldn't focus making money online. Like it was stressful because video editing was never really my passion. It was something that I did for money, but I kind of hated it. And I always wanted to be like a YouTuber. That's something I always wanted to do. But because I was always stressed about money and I was stressed with like the abuse I was receiving, I was never in the right mindset. I was never in the right state of mind to really create the business I truly wanted to. I was no longer fearful of being homeless, and therefore I had the right mindset to then build the business I really wanted. Because for the first time in my life, I don't feel stressed. I don't feel fearful of my safety. For the first time, I'm 24. And in the last 6 months, I haven't felt afraid. And I felt afraid my entire life. So then that's when I started making the asiamaxxing Instagram page and this YouTube channel, because this is the business I truly, truly wanted to make, but I was just not in the right mindset to make it. But now I am in the right mindset. This is how I made it. So this video was basically kind of like my story of asiamaxxing, what made me passionate about it, how I started doing it.